everyone, and welcome to another quarantine self-care video. Today is the fourth and last of our stretching videos. We're going to do the leg and the foot. So this might be the last video that I do. I am still toying around with a few ideas. Seeing as I am still not 100% sure when I will be in the office yet. Of course, if anybody has any suggestions or would like to see anything, you can get in touch with me. But without further ado, let's get right into the stretches. So we're going to do, as I said, the leg and the foot. So to start, we're going to do a technique for the toes that just kind of stretch, helps to stretch them out a little bit. What you're going to need to do, it's easier to do it sitting on a surface that's not on the floor, so a chair. So unless you have Spock toes, which I definitely do not, you're going to do this technique by first holding down. I know my camera is not showing it the best. Maybe I'll back up a little bit. So hold your big toe down with the opposite foot and raise the other four toes. As high as you can. This might take a while and some practice to get them to raise higher and higher. So hold that for 5 seconds, then relax, then move your foot over to hold down the other four toes while you lift up your big toe, and hold that for 5 seconds. And then do it again and again on that side. And then you can do anywhere between 3 and 5 reps. So again, that just helps to kind of stretch out your toes and get into all this like fascia and muscle that's right in between the toes. So from there, and it also just helps with flexibility. And again, as time goes on, you might be able to hold your toe down without using, or hold your toes up without using this opposite foot to hold your big toe or the other toes down. From there, we'll do a plantar fascia stretch. So this, you want to cross your leg over, and the foot that you're going to stretch to get into that plantar fascia, the fascia at the bottom of the foot, and this is also good for people who do have plantar fasciitis. So you want to grab your toes with one hand after crossing your leg over the other leg, and rest it like right above the knee, and pull your toes back and just stretch them. Now, if you wanted to bring this a little bit further, you could do some PNF and contract your toes against your hand, and then hold that for 10 seconds. So you're kind of like pushing your toes against your hand, right? They may curl a little bit. So you hold that for 10 seconds, relax, take a deep breath, and then on the exhale, stretch out your toes back more again. So that is good for the plantar fascia. Next, we'll get into the lower leg. So we'll do some gastrocnemius, soleus, tibialis anterior, and tibialis posterior posterior, and yeah. Also, what you might want to do for the foot as well, or more so for the ankle, just to give a little bit of ankle mobility and flexibility, is just do a little bit of rotation. So it's better to do it with your foot straight out. If you need to control your movements and you can reach to grab your ankle with both hands, preferably, then you can do some rotation and then to the opposite side as well. Additionally, you can do some dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. So dorsiflexion is up, toes towards the rest of your body. Dorsiflexion is down, away, or that's plantar flexion, I'm sorry. So dorsi is up and plantar is down. So you're just doing some flexion of the ankle joint to just kind of get some mobility in there and warm up the tissues. So you could do that before you start doing your stretching or throughout the routine. Is really up to you. Okay, so I have showed this stretch before in the self-massage video for the leg and the foot, but this is going to be for your gastrocnemius and plantaris muscle, and then from there I'll go into the soleus, since they are pretty much the two muscles that make up the calf muscle are the gastrocnemius and the soleus, and they pretty much sit right on top of each other. So, and then the gastrocnemius stretch also gets the plantaris muscle, which is, responsible for plantar flexing your foot. So we will take the strap or your towel and wrap it around like so. And so for the gastrocnemius, your foot wants to be, or your leg has to be straight, the one that you are stretching, and then the other one can be at 90 degrees. So I'm just gonna adjust this a little bit to make it more even. Let's see. There we go. So you're going to want to take the rope and wrap it around the ball of your foot, and we're going to do some PNF stretching for the gastrocnemius. So you're going to dorsiflex, and against resistance of the band, you're going to try to plantar flex your foot while securing resistance. So dorsiflex a little bit to get that slight stretch, even to the point where you don't feel a stretch at all. And then as you pull the rope and resist plantar flexing for 10 seconds, relax, and then dorsiflex and assist the stretch with the strap, then bringing up. So again, to do the PNF and resistance stretching, you're going to dorsiflex just a little bit. Make sure that rope or towel is nice and taut. Plantar flex against the rope while pulling the rope this way and pushing your foot down. Hold for 10 seconds, release, and then assist in the stretch. One thing to note is you don't really want to hyperextend your knee So if you need to dorsiflex and you're not quite feeling a stretch, instead of like hyperextending your knee, just actually bend your knee just a tinge, because if you bend it too much, then you're going to activate soleus. So just a tinge and then dorsiflex. If you have to move the strap up a little bit more towards like your toes to get a little bit more of a stretch, then that's fine too. Just last resort is hyperextending that knee. So then from there we'll go into soleus. So straighten out the leg that you aren't stretching, right? So it's kind of an opposite movement. And then you bend the leg that you are stretching. And then you pretty much do the same movements. Dorsiflex just a little bit. And then resist. And then after 10, relax and dorsiflex. And again, right? And then do one more time, or up to 5 reps. Another way that you can stretch the gastrocnemius and the soleus, which is probably the more popular way to do it. Actually, before that, you can stretch without using the rope. You can simply resist it, especially for soleus, because this knee is bent, so it's a little bit easier to grab your foot. If you don't have the rope or you're having difficulty with the towel, you can just resist against your hands, right? So you're plantar flexing while trying to push your foot up, and that creates the resistance. And then there you go. So then the one that is most well known is just up against a surface and leaning forward. And I would say, in my honest opinion, that gets more gastroc than soleus, but again, they do sit basically. Soleus sits under gastrocnemius, and while gastrocnemius is a little bit wider, you are still hitting both of those muscles when you are doing it up against the wall. You could do it sitting down too, laying down. I guess sitting is the correct term if you want to lay down, if that's comfortable for you, but and push against. That's great too if you have cramps at the bottom of your foot. It's basically what you want to do for PNF is you want to activate those antagonist muscles, right? So you're getting a cramp on the top of your foot or on the bottom. If you're getting a cramp on the bottom of your foot, you want to push up, right, against the resistance. And then relax. And then you plantar flex. So that's it for the foot and the calf muscles. Okay, so tibialis anterior can be done a few different ways. You can do it sitting, standing, or laying down. I will start with standing, then I will show sitting, and then we'll do laying down, and I'll go right into the quads from there, because one of the tibialis anterior stretches is very similar to the quad stretch laying on your side. Okay, so for tibialis anterior, you're going to place your foot back like this, and then you're kind of going to lean forward, and this is called like sweep foot, like SWEEP, sweep foot. So you're kind of sweeping your foot, and you're getting that stretch right in the front, the tibialis anterior. Okay, a variation of that, sitting in the chair. Same deal. You're going to put your feet so they're sweeping a little backwards, and then lean forward. You don't even have to lean forward necessarily. You just kind of have to like dig this foot in as if you were about to sweep it up, you know, but you're using the floor as resistance. And that's tibialis anterior sitting. Next, laying down on your side. So you want it to be the back foot that you're stretching. So have this leg out, right? Again, very similar to the quad stretch, which is you're just bringing your foot back, which again we'll get into in a minute. This one, again, making sure that your hips and the rest of your body are lined up, and you want to bring your foot more towards the front of your body, sort of like you're being a contortionist. For me, that one is the hardest to feel the stretch, but if you can get it, then that is a variation. Now again, for the quads, there are numerous different ways to stretch the quads. So the first way that you can do it is, again, laying on your side like this, bringing the back leg, which is the one, oops, I am falling over. And it's actually the top leg for the quads that you want to stretch. And you just bring your foot back more toward your glutes instead of up this way. And that's one way for the quads. Another way is standing. I have no balance when I do this, so that is the other quad stretch, the most popular quad stretch. If you're like me, use a surface. Another way to stretch the quads is simply to bring the leg back that you're trying to stretch, for the quad that you're trying to stretch, and put it back behind you. trying to place it as much over your glutes and directly behind you instead of like to the side as possible. If you have knee issues or if it's uncomfortable for you to be in this position, then you can, by all means, just keep it as closely tucked to your body as possible. And for some, that will be stretch enough for the quads. To bring this stretch a little bit farther, for those who do need more of a stretch, you will lean back and bring the opposite leg that you're not stretching into a figure four, and then lean back till you feel a stretch. And come up. So that is the other quad stretch you can do. You can also lay on your stomach, and for this one, I don't really have anything available. So you want to take a towel and just place it behind your knee for support. And grab your leg. You could also do this with a strap if it's easier to get the stretch and if you have limited flexibility. Stretch your quads with the strap or the towel. And then the last quad stretch that I'm going to show is actually targeted specifically for the rectus femoris, which is the biggest quad muscle and it sits right on top of the vastus medialis, and it connects from the front of your pubic bone to the top of your knee. So it's a pretty important muscle, if I do say so myself. So for this one, to stretch it out, you want to be like this. Actually, I do feel the stretch. So make sure your body is straight. And then put your toes, like right at the bottom of your toes, on the chair. And then kind of like lean into it. And you should feel that stretch right in this middle quad, rectus femoris. All right, and that is it for the quads. Next, we'll do, there's an adductor stretch that I would like to show. This one, you will feel more in your thighs. I know that I did a lot of adductor in the video that contained the hips, but this is also a really good one that will get all the adductor muscles in your upper thigh. I think this stretch feels amazing. So you're going to basically lean to the side. If you have knee problems or it's hard for you to stand like that, or kneel like that, squat, I don't know, you can put your knee on the ground and then sort of do like a side split. But if you have more flexibility, then you can lean over these toes are barely on the ground. They're almost like ballerina toes. And that really gets up into, like I said, the adductors. It's a good stretch if you have like a strained groin muscle, which essentially when people talk about that, they are talking about their adductors. So yeah, it's just a really good stretch. Make sure you get the opposite side too. All right, so that's the adductors. From there, let's get into, I want to do the TFL and the vastus lateralis stretch, which I did show once before when we did the hip muscles as well. But again, I did say at the beginning that some of these stretches could be reused based on what muscles they target. So this one you will need either a strap or a towel. Okay, so for vastus lateralis and TFL, this, considering TFL is more of a hip muscle, this is going to be more geared towards the vastus lateralis just because we are doing the leg this week. But again, it is the absolutely same stretch, so you can use it for one or the other or for both. So you're going to take your strap and place it around your foot like so. If you have knee issues, you can actually place the rope up behind your knee. It's not really behind the knee because you don't want it in this popliteal fossa. You want it to be above the knee, so about there. And that's it if you have knee problems. Otherwise, right around the foot, lay back. You want to cross the opposite leg over, and then make sure that you hold down your hip. We move down so I'm more in camera. Hold down the hip so that you are stabilizing it correctly. And then from there, again, your foot is turned outward. Right? Now I have to move up. Foot is everted a little bit. And then again, this is where I went wrong in the other video. I forgot to cross my leg over. So you want to make sure this leg is over the foot that you're stretching. Hand on the hip of the leg that you are stretching, and foot of the leg you are stretching everted, just a tinge. From there, you stretch by bringing your foot towards the middle. Still keeping the foot slightly everted. And relax. You could also do this with the leg up in the air, and then you can have your opposite foot straight on the ground, remembering still to do the eversion and holding down the hip and pulling the rope to the middle of the body. And vastus lateralis is another quad muscle. It is on the outside, meaning, so lateralis is lateral, so it's on the lateral side of your quad muscle. Quad muscles, there are 4, which is why it's a quad. Just a little Latin anatomy lesson in case you didn't know that, but I'm sure most people did. From there, the last muscle that we have to stretch is the hamstrings. So there are a couple different ways to do the hamstring stretches, and yeah, so let's get into that. Okay, so for the hamstrings, we'll start with the most common one. Reach out, try to touch your toes. Hold that for about 10 seconds. And then relax. And again. And with each breath, as you extend, you should be able to go farther. So if you couldn't start touching your toes, right, with each breath and each stretch, you're lengthening those muscle fibers, allowing yourself to stretch a little bit more. You know, of course, you don't want to overdo it too quickly, too fast, but with each repetition that you do, and with each day that you do these stretches, the farther and farther you'll go with flexibility, right? Because overall, that's what yoga is. And, you know, it increases flexibility and allows you to stretch even deeper. So, after that, we'll do the standing. The way to do it standing is you have one leg straight, and then the one that you're trying to stretch, you want to have you're digging your heel into the ground, right? I'm sure a lot of you know this one too. So back leg that's not stretched is kept straight or mostly straight, and then bend down, and you want to lean into this front foot, the one with the heel that is being dug. And that's a good hamstring stretch as well. From there, we will do the hamstring stretches that involve the strap or your towel. We're going to stretch all of the hamstrings. Now, you might be asking, what do you mean by that? Well, we're going to do the medial, the intermediate, and then the lateral hamstrings. And that just helps to make sure that you're getting all of them, because your hamstrings are probably one of the tightest groups of muscles in your body. For me, I played soccer my entire life. I was a gymnast. I'm active, you know, between work and working out here and there. And my hamstrings are so tight because if you don't actively keep at them, they will just really tighten up quickly. So they are important muscles to make sure that you have strong and a little bit of flexibility to them. So you especially want to make sure that your hamstrings are strong and have a good amount of flexibility to them in order to keep the rest of your legs feeling pretty good, especially if you're hiking, if you're out on the walking around in the protests, or just if you're an active person in general. So you want to make sure that your hamstrings are just really nice and loose and full of flexibility. Okay, so we will start with the intermediate hamstrings, which, not intermediate, but it's in the middle. And you want to support your knee with the opposite hand. So the leg that you're not stretching, that hand will be the supporter. So with this one, you are simply putting the rope right behind, the ball of your foot, like we have with many other exercises, and just lift up and stretch the hamstring. And relax. If you want to do that again. And relax. Okay, so now for the medial hamstrings, you're going to wrap the strap around one more time so that the strap is on the inside, right? But not the same as where you're just pulling it. It's got to be wrapped around once. Then from there, again, assisting, holding the knee, and then lifting up. You're automatically, because you have your strap wrapped around, putting a little bit more force and attention on those hamstrings that sit a little bit more medially, almost to your abductors or your adductors. Okay? Then to do your lateral hamstring muscles, you want to wrap the strap so it's on the outside. So just loop it around one extra time. And again, always assisting the knee and then pulling up. And you will feel that, I am sure, in the more lateral hamstrings. Right in here. That is super good. I feel that so intensely. And relax. And again, all of these you can do a couple of times. Bringing the stretch a little bit further. Yeah, don't forget that knee support, especially if you have bad knees. And that's it for the hamstrings, for stretching all the different sections equally. Okay, last but not least, I'm gonna do the hamstring elevation. This is not only a stretch for the hamstrings, but it also helps to promote circulation, and it's a really nice, relaxing way to end your stretching routine, or just a great way to end your day on a relaxing note. So, all you have to do is find a surface that's tall enough and lift your legs. Take a couple of nice deep breaths. Reflect on your day, whether it's your intentions for the day or what you accomplished through your day. And just simply take a nice, quiet moment for yourself because you deserve it. When you're ready, you can sit up. And then you can start your day or get ready for bed, depending on what time of the day that you do your stretches. As I said before at the beginning of this video, I'm probably not going to do self-care videos for the next couple of weeks. I do hope to have some sort of update, whether it's positive or negative, within the next couple of weeks. And of course, you know, if you need anything, I am always here to help, even if I cannot physically put my hands on you yet. Have a good one. Take care. Be safe. And I hope to see you all relatively soon. Thanks. Bye.